Hi and welcome to the next video. This is video number 9, and in this time we will add in NestJS and Angular the pagination to our chat rooms. So we do add like a paginate rooms event with Socket.io to our frontend and backend. We also map the differences from our NestJS pagination to our Angular material paginator, and we also return all the users of the room with this pagination object that we return. So this is our many-to-many relationship, so that we can always see directly who are all the users that are in this room. And of course, like before, we just get the rooms that I am listed in currently as a user. So basically we have here our structure as always. So first we have a look at our video outcome, then we read our user story for this outcome, and then we implement the story and close it. So let's have a quick look at what we are building in this video. So as before, you can always log in with your user, and then you get routed to your dashboard page. And here you have a list of all your chat rooms, so all the rooms where you are listed in as a user. You can also click the Create New Room button, and then you get routed to the Create Room component, but this will be implemented in another video. And here you can see they are all sorted by the updated @, and this in descendant. So the latest updated room is at the top, and so on. So you see it from the IDs. It's very easy to see at the moment because we don't have messages or edit rooms so far. You can also now paginate through your rooms. Very simple. You can also adjust the items per page. You can paginate through it. And if you click like here on a room, then we select this room, and you can see it now here on the right. We have displayed the complete room. So the ID, the name, the description, the created and updated timestamps, and also with all the users that are in this room. So this is like our many-to-many relation that we also get from our database for our rooms. So this should be all for this video. And now let's start. So let's have a short look at our story for video number 9. And here we simply want to add pagination for our rooms. So because we won't display, like if you're later like in a few hundred rooms, whatever chat rooms, then you don't want to have them displayed all on one page. So the story is, as a user, I want to be able to paginate through all the chat rooms that I'm listed in as a user currently. So you remember in our chat room, we have our users array where we have all the many-to-many relationship to the user entity, where we've listed all the users that are currently in this chat room. For this, we need to add the Angular material paginator to our dashboard, and we also have to emit and listen to the Socket.io events, and have to handle this accordingly in the backend. So the acceptance criteria are: the user is able to paginate through all his chat rooms. The rooms are ordered by the updated column, and this is descendant. So the newest updated date will be at the top. And with the room, we also want to get the list of users returned that are in this room. So we can just start with coding. So first, what we want to do, or what we have to do is, as you remember, in our user controller, we also already have like here a simple pagination here that we just used with the API, with Postman, for example, to get like users to have an endpoint that is protected by our middleware to check this. And here we have like our page and limit, and this is with what the NestJS pagination is working with. So NestJS paginate, so we are using this package here, NestJS type ORM paginate, and they, let's have a quick look here. In the service, you always need the page and the limit. And then you can just pass them in as the pagination options, and this will do everything for you. So we can simply make a model here into our chat. And let's say we have our page.interface.ts so that we can work with it, and we export our interface page. And this is just having the page number and the limit, so how many items we want to display. And then we can save this. And then we can go to our chat service. our room service, because at the moment we have here the get rooms for user, where we query our room repository for the room. We join it left on the users because it's a many-to-many relationship, and we search for the user. And now on one thing, we also want to return all the users with this. So we can say left join and select. And then we can say we want the room.users. And we could say, for example, as all users. And then what we also want to do is we want to order it. So we can say order by, and then we can say room.updated at, and then we can say descending, and then this should get ordered. So for example, we also could do this like users. This should be able to work. And then we can go with this to our chat service, and we can use this then for emitting like new events. So at the moment we are having here our where we handle the connection. If the user connects, then we check the token, we check if the user is there, and so on. Then we get all his rooms from our service. We say we want the first page, and we limit it to 10. And then we emit like our new rooms event, so that the client can listen to this event, and then he can handle or display all the rooms. And now we need like another event, and we can say subscribe message. And this is paginate room. So if the client wants to paginate, then he can emit like an pagination or paginate room event, and we listen to it here. And then we have to do something, so we can say on async on paginate room. And we have our socket, so our connection from socket.io, and we get our page, so where we have our page number and the limit. And then we can do the same that we have done here in our user service or on our user controller. If our limit is it's here page.limit is bigger than 100, then we use 100. If it is smaller, then we use the limit that is specified, because it doesn't make sense to display way more than 100 items on a page. No user will be able to catch that. And then we can simply get our rooms again. So we can do it like the same style that we have here. And then here we have not this like the user ID here, because but to our socket we saved here on connection our user, so we can now just simply access it as here our socket.data.user.id, and then we can search in our room service for the rooms for this specific user ID, and we want to have the according page. And this is here hardcore, because on connection we always want the first page and the first 10 items. But here we want to use that, what is the client giving us. And then we can return this server 2, and then we can go and send this to our socket ID. And we emit like the event, and we say rooms, and we use here the rooms that we got. So when we have done like the stuff that we have in our backend, we probably have to look later, because I think Angular Paginator is working with the first page is always like 0 in Angular Paginator, and here the first page is always the 1, so we later have to change maybe here a bit, but we can do this when we have implemented it in the front end also. So we can now switch to our front end. And as you remember, we can go here, 1 second, into our private module. And then we have to first import some modules that we need. So we need our met paginator module, and herefore we can look it up. this here is the page for the Angular material paginator. We also can use the mat card module to make it all looking a little bit nicer. We can use the mat button module. Yeah, I think for this should be all. And then we can switch to our component. And now we have to edit here like some HTML, so we can remove the dashboard works, or we can also fire up our Docker Compose, so we can see live if anything goes wrong. And so we can say at the top we want to have our container, and here we can just say class container, and then for example we could also go to our public components and we could copy and paste this container class and then modify it a bit. So for example, we don't need a margin of 100 pixels. Here we can say 20, and then we can work here and we can see if everything is going correctly. So far so good. And then we have here our container, and in our container we could have like our material card. Let's see. Yeah, so the API was started correctly, and now we can wait for Angular. This can take some time since I'm modifying it here always. And then in our card we want to have like a div on the left and a div on the right side. So we can have on the left side like a list of all of our rooms. On the right side we can display only the room that we are currently want to display, or where we want to chat with someone. So for this, so then we have like here another div, and here we display our rooms, and then we have like another div where we display my chat room. Let's just make it like this at the moment, and here we can say all or my chat rooms, and let's say here my room, and then we can decide better. And so the top card we have to add some styling to it, and we can simply say we want to display as a flex box, and the flex direction should not be column but a row. And then this div should be here, this here and this here next to each other. Let's format it a bit. And then we have here our chat rooms, and here we have our specific chat room that we are using then at this moment. And then at first maybe we have here like a button where we can navigate later to chat room creation. So we can say create new room. There we will add later some pagination when we go to a new component where we can create a new room. And because at the moment, you remember, we just do this here on ng on init and create like a sample or a dummy room here and send it to our backend that gets created. So we don't want to do this anymore. So let's comment this out, because I think we already have created way too much example rooms. So this is enough to work with. Yeah, well, then we can go back here, and then we have our mat selection list with multiple faults. So we always want to select just one room of it. And we can also say here on selection change, we want to do something. So we can say on select room, this is what we have to name the function. And then we can simply use the event. And then we have to create this also here in our component. And this is, I think, a met selection list change. And then we can do stuff there later. So this would be like where we select the current room that we want to join or where we want to chat. So then we have our met list options. I think we don't have to modify anything here. Well, I think maybe we can add here like a met divider so that it looks a bit nicer. And then we need to add like our material paginator. And we can do this beneath our material list or our selection list. So we can say met paginator. And we can save and we can, let's have a short look here how it looks at the moment. And now you see we already have here our card. We have on the left side our chat rooms. We have on the right side our room then that we want to select, where we have to add some stuff. And we have here our paginator that is at the moment having like default values. You see it's not able to do anything and it's not connected to here. So we have to change this. And as you remember, in our rooms here, where we get my rooms, we get the room paginate object from our backend, where we have on the items our rooms, and then we have metadata, where we have total items, item count, items per page, total pages, current page, and this is what we have to bind to our material paginator. So we can simply do this here, and we can say, or we can, for example, look this up here. In the API reference from Angular material, we have here the page event length, the current total numbers of items being paged. So let's add this first. So we bind this length to our rooms. This is async, so we have to use the async pipe. So it's observable, so that we have to subscribe to it. Then we have our metadata, and then this should be like the total items. How many items are there in total? We can copy and paste this here a bit, because then we don't always have to add this. Then we can look what is the next. We have then the page index, what is the current page that we are on. So we say page index, then we make here, and then we go for our current page. The next one would be our page size. And here we can again use this. And then we can have like our item count. And then we can bind it to another event. And we can say when we paginate, we want to call our on paginate rooms. And here we use our event. And then we can also specify some page size options. And we can just say, for example, 10, 25, 50. And then we have to create our onPaginate rooms function in our dashboard component. And then on select room, we want to say, or we can add here like a selected room. And then this is initially null at the moment. And then we can say this.selectedRoom is our event.source .selected options .selected. Then we always take the first since we are not multiple, and we can get the value. And then what we can also do is here on the right side in my room, we can simply display this value when we say selected room, and then we can just use the set JSON pipes. We don't have to do anything here. This will be stuff that we do like in the next videos, where we add like the real chatting functions. Then we have here our on Paginate rooms, and here we are getting like a page event from the Angular material paginator, and then we also use this page event here from material paginator so that we have access to all the stuff. And then we want to call our chat service, and then we want to like emit a page event. So we have to create this. So let's say we can delete this here so that it gets cleaner. And then this is what we basically want to use in one of the next videos to create a room. So here we want to say add or emit Paginate rooms. And then we get here like a limit number and a page number. So this is like the stuff, as you remember, limit and page, what is our backend taking for this NestJS pagination. So then we can simply say this.socket, then we want to emit our event, and then we want to emit the Paginate rooms event, because you remember our API in our chat gateway, we have named this Paginate room. Or we can say Paginate rooms, probably a bit nicer. So we emit Paginate rooms. And then we also specify limit and page. Why is it saying remove this commented out code? Well, let's give him some time, then this should be fixed. Let's close it and open it again. Yeah, so now it seems good. So, and then we have to call this event here on Paginate rooms. So then we want to emit our Paginate rooms, basically. And this is then our page event. Dot. So we have first the limit. So it's the page size, so how many items you want to have on one page. And then our actual page is our page event dot page index. And then, for example, if we emit this event, then our chat service emits here the event to our backend. And then when we go to our backend, this catches this event, gets our room service, and then emits to this socket ID, so to our specific user here that is connected, the new rooms. So let's have a look if we are connected and if everything seems fine. So you see now we have this issue that I mentioned before. We are here when we reload. We are on the first page, but he's saying we have like a previous page. So this is like Angular Material Paginator is expecting to always be the first page number 0. And NestJS is always calculating with number 1 for the first page. So we have to fix this in our backend. And for this, we can simply go here. So the first thing that we want to do is on our answer, we want to change this. So we can say here we get our rooms back, and then we have our rooms, our metadata, and then we have like the current page. And this is like the current page here is always +1, so in NestJS, so always they start with first page, and in Angular with 0. So we have to what's the English, subtract always 1. So we say rooms.meta.current page -1. And so we can like add a comment and say remove page -1, not remove, subtract -1 to to match the Angular material paginator. And then on our onPaginate, we have to do like the same stuff, but reverse, because from the Angular material paginator, we now have to say page.page, and this is our page.page plus 1. So here we have to add it because it's going to the next page. So we say add page plus 1 to match Angular material paginator, and then we can query it here correctly from our service. And then again we have to, from our result, subtract the current page. So this is something that we also can refactor later, so that we don't have like double used code. But first let's see if this is working. So now you see we are here, you can't go back, so we are on the first page. And we can at the moment paginate simply through it. And you see these rooms here are, I'm displaying here the name and the ID at the moment, and they are in descendant, so the latest one is at the top. And now you see if I make a select here, then I'm going in our front end. Let's have a quick look at it. In our private module, we have our dashboard. And in our mat selection list, we say multiple faults. You always just want to be able to choose one value. And then if we click one, we want to do the select room stuff. And here on the select room, we set our selected room that we are displaying here just to the selected value from the mat selected list. And here we simply display at the moment the JSON, and later we can make this here fancier, the room. What we can also do is to make it like a little bit more better looking, but this will not be the best looking project, I can tell you at the moment right now. So we can simply say this is like a style to left margin, so that we have there a little bit of space between these divs. And then it's a little bit nicer looking. And we can also, for our create room, we can add here the mat button, so that we have an Angular material button. And then we can later simply add like here a router link where we link to our create room page. So now you see we have our Angular material button, and then we could, if we click it, we could go to create room page and so on. So now we have our pagination. And we can also set here a bit. So at the moment we have it just that we load the rooms. But if we paginate, or if we call, for example, let's go and make the create component for the room. So we can here cd into our front end when we say Angular generate component, and then we say private. Then we are in components, and then we can say we want to name this create room component. So we say create room, and then we will have here like a new component, create room component, that we can then add to our private routing module just beneath our dashboard. So we make like here, we say we have it to the path create room. And then this component that we want to use is our create room component that we want to display. So then we have our routing set up here. And then we can in our dashboard here say we have like a router link. So let's go to our button and we say router link. And then we can simply go against ... and then we say create room. Yeah, let's wait for reload. And now you see we switched to our create room component. If we go back now, it's empty because the component was not destroyed. So we could, for example, say we want to also implement after view init, and then we can say ng after view init. And we can simply say this.chat-service.emit paginate rooms, and we can simply call it always with the first 10, or limit it to 10 items and the first page. So here it's 0 in Angular, and then in our backend, in our gateway, we added then here +1, so then we get the first page from our NestJS stuff. So now let's check again in our frontend if everything works correctly, and then we can check against the story and close it. So here we see we can go to create rooms, we can go back, we have like all our rooms, we can paginate through them, we can choose here different page sizes and so on, or limit it. Works all fine. So these are all my rooms, so you can see it here. I am always one of the users, so this is always my user and another user, what we created the last times with our test data stuff when we on create component. So let's check our story here. So our story was number 9. And so now the user is able to paginate through all of his rooms. We are also ordering the rooms by updated at descendant. And we also get the list of users returned from our backend for the room. So you see it here. We include like our relation many-to-many with the users to our rooms that we get from the database. So now we can stop everything here and we can commit all the changes. So we say git add upper A, and then we commit like our changes and we say video 9, add pagination to the chat rooms, and we can push everything.